All right, welcome to this week's edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Jason Mackey, and alongside Coach Hand, we will talk about last week's game. The Titans fell 45-20 to the Washington and Jefferson Presidents, but we'll recap that one. Steve's got a great pack report. We got a player interview this week with wide receiver Jake Buzzard. Got a great show lined up for you today. Right now, let's take a look at the first quarter highlights. W&J with the football first as Westminster forces them into a 4th and 10 situation. Chris Edwards back to pass, hits Tom McCafferty for 21 yards down to the Westminster 11. Good for a first down. W&J now, remember this play. Chris Edwards to Aaron Krebs, a touchdown, good for 10 yards. W&J on top 7-0. Titans with the football back. Now Barley looking to pass. Has Jake Buzzard in the flat. That one good for 6 yards, but a personal foul on W&J would bump it up a little bit. Titans still had to punt. W&J now threatening again. Edwards to Krebs, 7 yards out. Second touchdown of the game. Now, on the ensuing kickoff, Kyle Sidebotham's kick goes all the way down to the goal line. That's where Sean Buggy is going to field it. And Buggy will take it 100 yards back to the opposing goal line for a touchdown, breaking the old record of a 92-yard return in 1993 by Aldridge Jones. But now Buggy has the record. W&J gets the football back, though. Chris Edwards on a 4th and 3 looking for R.J. Soder in the slot. He's going to find him. Good for 12 yards in the W&J first down. And on another 4th and 2 situation, this time they will go with the ground game. R.J. Zitzelsberger, 6 yards down to the Westminster 11-yard line, and it will set up a field goal this time for W&J. Kyle Sidebotham from 23 yards out. Plenty of leg there. It's good, 17-7. W&J leads at this point. Westminster back on offense. Passing game looked good early on. J.R. Barley to Josh Kutzner there, good for 5 yards, but a Westminster penalty would bring it back. Titans have to punt. Dusty Rhodes, a nice kick. Going to get this one down to the 2-yard line. Didn't look that good coming off the foot, but bounces over Aaron Krebs' head. And W&J is in a whole heap of trouble. Chris Edwards sacked for a loss of 1 there by Adam Hababney. They didn't get anything going. They punted out of their own end zone. J.R. Barley looking to throw there, but nothing going on. Matt Mazgaj sacks him. And W&J gets the football back. This time, Edwards to McCafferty, 38 yards. Look at him go up and bring it down to the Westminster 15-yard line, setting up this touchdown run, 2 yards for Ryan Mendel. The ensuing kickoff, though, Titans special teams, again, impressive. Jared Smith takes this one, 31 yards to the W&J 49-yard line, and the Titans have good field position to start. J.R. Barley will look to throw on first down to Brett Ziegler. But Mike Wilmus is there a little bit early. Pass interference. W&J shooting themselves in the foot. Barley now, probably the best scramble you'll see all season. 30 yards down to the W&J 15-yard line. Picks up a couple nice blocks there. And Westminster is in business. But on a 2nd and 6, Wilmus will pick off Barley. And that's the half. Score at the end of the half, 24-7 W&J. All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner. W&J on top 24-7, but early on, Coach, the passing game looked a little improved. Did you feel that you guys got better throwing the football?
Yeah, we got a little bit better throwing the football, and that's one of the things that we tried to emphasize going into the game, is that we were going to take advantage of the things that they gave us, and I think we did that early on, and I think we needed to take more advantage of it, but it did get better.
Well, part of that passing game is a good offensive line, and Randy Sylvester moves to left tackle for the injured Shane Parker. How do you feel that he played in the game?
I think he did a real nice job for the first time playing tackle. He has obviously been playing tight end for us some, and to make the move and to earn the starting role is a big challenge, and I think he lived up to the challenge.
Talk about the passing game, and let's switch over to the running game now. A little bit of inability to run the football on Saturday. Does this concern you for the upcoming weeks?
Well, they both go hand in hand. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you're able to move the ball better when you're able to do both, and when you're able to limit how teams line up against you, your running game is going to get better, and W&J clearly was going to shut down our running game, and they played very aggressively as far as their play calling defensively. The most aggressive I've seen a W&J defense play as far as the number of blitzes that they ran, and that was something they felt that they needed to be that aggressive to shut our run game down, so that's kind of a feather in our cap.
So you're saying the traditional W&J team they'll drop back more in coverage and only rush 4?
Yeah, they'll rush 4. They'll definitely play their share man-to-man, but won't be as aggressive blitzing-wise. Going into the game, they were not near as high of percentage blitz team.
Now, if we talk about special teams, we see Sean Buggy's 100-yard touchdown return. Jared Smith had a big return. Did you guys find something in special teams, some kind of crease or something to exploit?
No, to be honest with you, we really respected their kickoff team. They had, they have the kicker that's going to consistently kick the ball the deepest on the kickoffs in the conference, and we knew they were going to cover the fastest. But we felt if we blocked them and did our assignments, we felt that all year long on our kickoff returns that we were 1 block away, and this past week we got it done. We got that block we needed.
Now, I mentioned Jared Smith's return. He also got it done on defense. I think he had 8 tackles. You'll see the pass break up in the second half, but he's certainly come a long way in improving.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I mean, Jared is a good, solid player for us, and is doing a great job defensively, special team wise, and he's a good, solid player for us.
Now, on Saturday, we saw Jason Lundmark handling the kickoff duties, and Chris Castillo missed 2 field goals. Is he 100% for this upcoming week?
Oh, yes. He was 100% last week. And, and I think if you ask Chris, I mean, we plainly just, we missed the kicks. And, and Chris is a competitor, and I know he'll be right back at it. And he, like a lot of skill positions, sometimes can get caught up with some immediate success, but I know that he is a great leader and a great competitor, and will bounce right back.
All right, well, 24-7 W&J at the half. Let's take a look now at the second half highlights. Titans will try the field goal here from 42 yards out to start the second half, and short into the wind. Westminster gets no points on the drive. W&J with the football back now, and they would answer. The hookup of the day, Chris Edwards to Aaron Krebs right here for 27 yards, some yards after the catch for Krebs. W&J on top 31-7. Westminster with it back now. Passing game still improving. Barley to Buzzard there, 15 yards. And then the ground game. Sean Buggy gets 7 here. It was a tough day on the ground, but one of Buggy's better runs on the day. Chris Edwards now. Watch his hands. Fumbles it on W&J's next possession. Westminster gets the football back, and they would answer. J.R. Barley on a 4th and 10 looks for Brett Ziegler and finds him. Good for 13 yards down to the W&J 18 and enter the trickery. Sean Buggy will look to pass, finds Ziegler in the end zone. Buggy's first career touchdown pass, and the ensuing kickoff. Lundmark with the onsider gets it back, and the trickery continues. Jake Buzzard now will look to throw. He'll look to throw back to Buggy, but he's picked off by Nick Cherish at the W&J 30-yard line. W&J would turn that into an Edwards to Krebs touchdown. But Westminster with the football back, and things did not improve. Barley looking to throw to Josh Biro, but throws it too high. Gabe McKee picks him off at the Westminster 45, returns it to the Westminster 35, and that's where W&J gets back to work. Here they almost get a touchdown. Chris Edwards to Aaron Krebs. That would have been the 5th one of the day, but an illegal block brings it back. W&J gets no points. Westminster now, their next play. J.R. Barley to Jordan Bellish. He fumbles it. W&J gets the football back now. Some fine defensive plays by Westminster, though. Ryan Shimura brings Edwards down on a 3rd and 11 and a 4th and 20. They're going for it. Why not? Jared Smith dives in front of Tom McCafferty and knocks that one down. W&J's next possession. Snap's not supposed to go there. Adam Hababney jumps on it in the end zone. Westminster now only trails by 18. W&J gets it back. R.J. Zitzelberger for 20 yards. It's going to set up the Ryan Mendel touchdown run that pretty much seals it for W&J right here from 4 yards out left-hand side. W&J on top 45-20, and indicative of how the day was. Barley back to pass, and he's picked off at the goal line and returned 49 yards, and that does it. The final score of this game, W&J 45, Westminster 20. All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner, 45-20 in favor of the Presidents. And, Coach, this Presidents team, quite impressive. Teal, beat them 38-35, and Thomas More still 4-0. This pack's looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, it's a good conference. We knew that going into the season. It was going to be a tough road to hoe, and we're up for the challenge. We're going to keep fighting and see how things land. I mean, all we can take care of is things that we have control over, and that's worrying about the next opponent. And next opponent for us is Bethany.
Well, Coach, on the field Saturday, if we go back to W&J, a lot of penalties on the field. Is this something you guys need to work on, or just kind of poor officiating?
No, it's something we need to work on. The officials are never as crisp as I want them to be, but and there were some borderline calls, but some of the pre-snap fouls offensively are definitely within our control, and one of the personal fouls or two are definitely within our control. A couple of them were just good aggressive plays on our part. So it is something we have to work on.
Aaron Kreps, wide receiver, seemed to be open a lot in the seam on Saturday. Now, what was the reasoning for this?
Well, that quarterback found him. I mean, it's a good passing game. When you face a good quarterback, you face good receivers, he's going to be open at times. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But everything comes together as a team, and that's getting a pass rush on the quarterback, and that's having the secondary play good coverage, and then the linebackers fitting into the coverage. And and there are going to be times when receivers are going to be open, but they did a nice job of finding them.
Now, we talked about the trickery there in the highlights. Sean Buggy throwing a touchdown pass to Ziegler, ensuing kickoff, an onside kick, and then buzzer throwing it. How nervous were you during these 3 plays?
To be honest with you, I'm less nervous at that time than any other time. To me, that is what it's about. In crucial times like that, that is when you need to be calm and you need to make the play. And to me, those are plays we have fun with. Those are plays we make, and not any more nervous at that time.
Your kicker Lundmark diving on the field after ball. You had to love to see that.
Oh, that was a great aggressive play, and he definitely wanted that football for us.
Now, Jake buzzard on the pass. Did you feel that maybe you got a little too excited during this point, or you knew what you were doing all the way?
Anybody hindsight can be 20/20, but I firmly believe when you have somebody down, you need to keep their head underwater and keep going after them, keep attacking them, and that was something we felt we needed to do at that particular time, and the play was there potentially if it was just a little bit quicker developing, so he was open for just a little bit, but it opens our eyes, and we can explore other things off of it now.
Well, Jake and I will talk about it in the player interview, but Ryan Mendel, one of their big play guys on offense, seems like you guys shut him down pretty well.
What I felt was one of their top 3 players we did shut down. But on a disappointing end, the Zitzenberger running back, I thought he's a solid running back, but had a great day against us, which I was a little bit disappointed at. But shutting Mendel down is definitely a positive thing. But when you say shutting a run game down, that's both backs or any of the backs that are going to carry the ball, which we didn't do as well as I'd like.
All right, well, final score 45-20. We're going to take a short break and be back with Steve Brink's Pack Report after this, so stay tuned to Coach's Corner.
Okay, girls, at 3 o'clock.
What is he looking at?
Oh, dude, it's so obvious. Captain Obvious has scored again. Open your window, say something.
Oh, he's really going to down.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Thank you. Honey, finish up. Come on, we gotta go.
Ew.
What's wrong?
Something's on my glass.
Let's see. Oh, it's lipstick. Excuse me, ma'am. Could we just have a new glass, please? This one's dirty. Thank you.
Mom.
Honey, I don't want you to get sick. I don't know what's on that glass.
Oh, have me one too.
Oh, you want a soap to you?
Yeah.
There you go. There's some honey right here, too.
Picture yourself at Westminster College. Westminster offers an educational experience that is second to none. We've been exceeding students' expectations for 150 years. Westminster combines the prestige of a national liberal arts college with the personal attention you deserve. Westminster is a national leader in graduation rate performance and is the most affordable national liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. Visit Westminster's beautiful 300-acre campus to experience an ideal learning environment. Succeed at Westminster College.
2006 edition of the Pack Report. Let's first take a look at the overall standings. Teal is still the only Pack school yet to lose here in 2005. They're in first place with a perfect 5-0 mark, followed by W&J, Thomas More. Waynesburg is in fourth at 3-2, followed by Westminster, Grove City, and a 1-5 Bethany team. But now we really got to take a look at what really matters, and that is the conference standings. Thomas More is in first after their bye week, but Teal moves a game closer with their win over Grove City last week. Those two teams play each other on October 29th in Teal, just in case you were wondering. W&J and Waynesburg are tied for third at 1-1. Grove City is in fifth at 1-2, and Westminster and Bethany round out the bottom of the conference as both teams remain winless. Okay, now let's take a look at what happened last week in the PAC. There were 3 more conference matchups, and we'll start with the Teal Tomcats, who improved to 3-0 in pack play as they put a serious beatdown on Grove City last Saturday. Teal running back Stephen Minton just went off as he had another big day. Minton rushed for 152 yards and 3 scores. Definitely fantastic 5 numbers. The lone bright spot for Grove City was that preseason All-American safety Ross Trimmer had his first 2 INTs of the season. W&J got a huge bounce-back win as they defeated Westminster 45-20 last weekend. W&J wideout Aaron Krebs caught 6 passes, 4 of which went for touchdowns, as quarterback Chris Edwards put up 292 yards through the air. Westminster receiver Brett Ziegler caught his first touchdown pass of the year off an 18-yard halfback option pass from Sean Buggy. And the final pack matchup from last Saturday saw the Waynesburg Yellow Jackets get their first conference win of the season as they took down Bethany 38-21. Running back Ryan Abels passes John Culp, a 1978 graduate of Waynesburg, on the school's all-time rushing list. Abels is now in third place with nearly 2,600 career yards. Also, Eric Daniels had his first 100-yard game of the season. Daniels rushed for 101 yards with 1 touchdown. Well, now it's time to acknowledge the PAC offensive and defensive players of the week, and we'll start with the offense. There were some great offensive numbers put up last week, but the honor goes to Waynesburg's Ryan Abels. The junior from Elizabeth, PA, had 162 yards on only 16 carries with 3 scores, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, Abels is now third on the school's all-time rushing list. Now flipping sides to the defense, the weekly award goes to W&J strong safety Gabe McKee. The junior from Hubbard, Ohio, had a career-high 12 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and 1 interception for the Presidents. Now it's time for that weekly tradition of the Fantastic Five. We've got a loaded group this week as there were some pretty big-time performances around the conference. At number 5, though, we got Teal wide receiver Brandon Chamber. Chamber had 8 catches for 149 yards and 1 touchdown. Number 4 is Westminster defensive end Adam Hadbavney, and Babney had 9 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries, one of which was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. Number 3 is Bethany wideout Milton Joyner. Joyner had 141 receiving yards on only 5 catches while also adding a touchdown. Number 2 is Teal running back Stephen Minton. Minton rushed 27 times for 152 yards and 3 scores. And finally, at number 1, we have W&J wide receiver Aaron Krebs. Krebs caught 6 passes, 4 of which went for touchdowns for 86 yards. Now moving right along, we got to take a look at what's happening around the conference this week. There are 3 more pack games taking place. First off, we have the Teal Tomcats heading down to Waynesburg to try and stop Ryan Abels. Abels, however, was held to only 30 yards in last year's meeting. Also, Waynesburg receivers Ivan Hawkins and Dominic Hunter both have 152 career receptions, 3 behind the Waynesburg career mark of 155. W&J hits the road again as they travel to Grove City to take on the Wolverines. And of course, Aaron Krebs had 4 touchdowns last week against the Titans. He also had 4 touchdowns last year against Grove City. Quarterback Chris Edwards needs only 5 passing yards to reach the 2,000-yard plateau for the season. And I think it's a safe bet to say that he'll reach that mark this weekend. Westminster travels to Bethany Saturday as both teams look for their first conference win of 2005. The Titans look to improve to a perfect 3-0 record on the road this year. To do that, they'll need to shut down Milton Joyner, who not only had a big game last week against Waynesburg, but also had a big game against the Titans last year as he set a Bethany single-game record with 12 receptions for 145 yards. And finally, Thomas More is back in action after their bye week as they host Frostburg State Saturday. This is the first meeting between the two schools, and the Saints have a serious issue at quarterback, too. Senior starter Nate Berkeley was lost for the year due to injury, so that means backup Seth Ellis gets his first career start. And now it's time for everyone's favorite part of my Pack Report. That's right, it's the updated standings for the NFL Pick'em Challenge. It was a tough week for all 3 of us, though. Jason and Coach both went 3-3, but I fell another game behind going 2-4 last week. And oh, by the way, Jason did get the Jacksonville game wrong again for the 6th consecutive week. And if we take a look at this week's games, You see that Jacksonville is in the lineup yet again. And just for the record, Jason did pick Pittsburgh to beat Jacksonville. And he also threw some love out to my beloved Jets. How about that, Jason? First time for that. He picked the Jets over Buffalo. So I guess the saying must be true. There is a first time for everything. Back to you, Jason.
All right, thank you, Steve. We're back here. I'm here with wide receiver Jake Buzzard from West Middlesex High School. And Jake, what's it like playing college football in the same area that you played high school football in?
It's actually interesting seeing all the things in the valley, change. And, I think one of the biggest things is I like seeing people around the valley asking me, how the Titans doing this year. It's nice to see that people are actually showing an interest in, what I'm doing now.
Now, you were a quarterback in high school, and a very good one from what I hear, but you made the transition to wide receiver. How'd that go?
It was pretty tough at first. I would say it probably took me a full year, to get down the mechanics of being a wide receiver. And I think more than anything, there was the mental part of it where, you're playing quarterback and you're touching the ball every play. Then you go to play wide receiver. You may only touch the ball 2 or 3 times the whole game. So I think from a mental standpoint, that was the toughest thing.
Now, in W&J, you got another chance to throw the football. I know it was an interception, but what was it like getting another crack at it?
It brought back some good memories, but, like you said, the negative out of the whole situation is that it was an interception, but, team consensus, it was a nice-looking ball. So,
it was a spiral, anyway.
Yeah, But, it felt good, but, like you said, it was an interception.
Now, 20 catches a year ago, coming back, you're probably the team's #1 guy, but you haven't caught as many balls this year. How's it like, role kind of changing a little bit?
Some guys have stepped up this year, like Brett Ziegler, for instance, who caught his first touchdown pass. He's a fast kid. He's explosive. He can make things happen. So, I have no problem stepping aside and, letting kids come up. I think Coach Hand brought with him when he came here is more of a team concept, and I think more this year than years past, I think we've bought into the team concept more. So, it's nice to not matter, who scores the touchdown, as long as we're in the end zone. So.
Now, we talked about this earlier in the week, a big part of playing wide receiver. J.R. Barley, big scramble in the first half, and what made that happen was wide receivers blocking downfield, and that's something you feel is very important in your game.
That's something that the whole wide receiving core we feel is important. If the running back does happen to get into the secondary, that means that 8 or 9 other guys are doing their job. You don't want to be the guy, missing a block, and, you could turn the 6-yard run into a 60-yard run. And he could end up in the end zone. So, we do everything we can to help Buggy out. I'm not saying that he needs the help, but
you do what you can.
Yeah. So we definitely think that it's an important thing, and it's something that our wide receiver coach stresses to us.
Now, earlier on in the week when me and you talked about this Ironman Award. Now, what is this, and why is this so important to you?
The Ironman is also something Coach Ham brought. It's if you participate in every practice and every drill during practice, that's camp and throughout the season. And, I think that's important because, any time that you're able to practice, you should be practicing, I feel I don't want to let my teammates down by not being on the field. So, and to go along with that, it's football. We're out there, we're having fun. You get to go out there every day and hit people and not get in trouble for it, So, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, well, that does it for our player interview portion. Thank you very much, Jake. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back to talk about Bethany here on Coach's Corner.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
The Lawrence County Humane Society believes in the safety of spaying and neutering your animals. Spaying and neutering can have many long-term benefits.
We at the Lawrence County Humane Society believe that all animals should be spayed or neutered. Many reasons why, but the biggest reason is that they will be a happier, healthier pet. Also, it alleviates the overpopulation problem.
Getting your animals spayed and neutered is one huge step in making sure that more animals are healthy and find loving homes.
I'm the best thing you ever had. Only thing I'm guilty of is giving you too much love, making you crazy, making you rat, making me fall, making me suspect. Seem to think I'm playing her game.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner, and thank you very much to Jake Buzzard for a great player interview. And Coach, let's talk about Bethany now a little bit. They have two athletic kids, just like W&J, two athletic wide receivers, T.J. Parker and Milton Joyner. How are you guys going to account for them on Saturday?
Well, we obviously we have to cover them, and they also have a third guy who is listed as their tight end, who's a very good receiver as well. And those three guys account for the bulk of the receptions on their team, and their passing game is definitely something that we have to make sure that we're doing a nice job against.
Now we talk passing game. Brian Weinberg and Brent Owens are their two quarterback systems. Seems like you guys are seeing a lot of two quarterback systems this season.
Yeah, there's definitely a good amount of the two quarterback system, but I think Bethany is just deciding to go with whoever has the hot hand.
Now with Bethany's defense, they run a 3-4 like Westminster. Is it any easier preparing for a defense a lot more like your own?
Somewhat, although they do things a little bit differently than we do, but it's somewhat easier. They're going to run a similar front, but they're going to align a little bit differently. The way we play our front, it's not exactly the way they play theirs.
Now Bethany is 1-5, and Westminster obviously needs a win very badly. If there's a turning point in the season, you think now is it?
Every week going into the game, I'm confident. Yeah. I know we can get the job done, and this is definitely it's within our ability to get the job done this weekend.
Now Bethany's offensive line, they only returned 2 starters from last season. You guys have a very experienced defensive line. How do you think this is going to play out?
Well, they have, from what I saw, I thought they had 3 returning starters on offensive line, and in the center and the 2 guards, and they have 2 freshmen starting at tackles. I hope it's a big day for our defensive line, but our defensive line right now is not as healthy as we'd like them to be. But we have key guys stepping up and making plays when they're not able to be 100%.
Now, if we move back in that defense a little bit, Tim Getz, the middle linebacker, he's a little bit undersized, but he makes a lot of tackles.
He's a good football player, and their linebackers are certainly the strength of their defense again. And Anderson is a good linebacker as well. They both run pretty decent, have decent size. To me, height isn't a factor when you're talking the Division III level.
Now, what kind of things do you expect their defense to do coverage-wise to face the Titan passing game that obviously improved a little bit this week?
They do play a similar coverage to us as a base coverage, and then they play a variety of other coverages. But they're going to be I think they're going to come out and be a very blitzing, attacking style of defense, and try to be aggressive and look for the big play.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. Well, that does it for this episode of Coach's Corner. I want to say thank you very much, and what's up to Craig Retchachar, who's in the audience today. He was the host of the show last year. Learned a lot from Craig, so thank you. But that does it for our episode, Titans and the Bethany Bison on Saturday.
At Johnson & Johnson, we understand the importance of a nurse's touch.
How you doing, Mr. Powell? Okay. I just want you to breathe normally, okay?
A nurse's touch can touch the